Mink, I'm sure, this is Joanne, by the way. I'm sure when you sent this tape to Dottie, you had nothing but good intentions in mind, but I must tell you that I've lost 20 pounds and some sleepless nights over this thing. I'm either in the kitchen and I hear this low man's voice from the back bedroom and I dash down the hall to see who's intruded, or else I'm laying flat on my back in bed and I hear this voice come creeping out under the door. And I'm behind sleep. As I said, I've lost weight. Hereafter, you're just going to have to communicate with her some other way. Mental telepathy, maybe, huh, Dottie? Now, you want me to say some more? Well, Dottie shared her tape that you sent her with us, and we enjoyed every minute of it. And it was very pleasant to hear your voice. We sort of think you sound like our local San Francisco disc jockey, Don Sherwood. I don't know whether you know him or not, but we enjoy him. And you're quite professional sounding, Mr. Ehrman. Your trip sounds nice. I'm sure you'll be glad to be home. And if I know anything about Miss White, I'm sure that she'll be delighted when you get here, and she'll probably be on the shore waving to you, along with everybody else in that squadron. Okay?
Yeah, Jimmy wants to talk to her. Go ahead and talk to him. Tell Jimmy to hurry. Mink, Joe's going to try to get Jimmy out. He's been just real excited about saying something to you. So let's see if we can get him out of the tub. Colleen, by the way, isn't here. She's spending several nights with Mr. and Ms. Hicks, Grandma and Grandpa. So everything is just real quiet around here, very, very peaceful. But we miss her. Bless her heart. Well, let's see.
Right now? Yeah. Hi, Mink. This is Jimmy. I heard your voice on the tape, and I wanted to just say hi and have a good trip home. What time will you be home? Soon, I hope. Bye-bye.
I forgot one little message to you, Mink. I thank you for including me in the club with Barbara and with Dot Dot. Oh, Marge? Yeah. Was it? I thought it was Barbara. Oh, well, pardon me, with Marge, who I don't even know. But I want you to know that the label on the chicken that I cooked that was so lousy tough was mislabeled, so it really isn't my cooking after all. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Mink, here's the Dot Dot. Joe and Jimmy have gone. And I'm sitting back here with a beer in one hand and the mic in the other. You know, this beer comes in handy. I certainly am glad I learned to drink it a couple of years ago. I don't think I'll ever be able to fill up this doggone tape. But here goes. I'll try. Frankly, though, I feel real silly sitting here talking to this machine. I think it wouldn't bother me too much if it answered back, even. Mink, getting the tape, well, it was just wonderful. It was more than I really expected or even hoped for. But thank you so much for taking your time to make it, and to make this day of mine just a wee bit brighter. Now, wouldn't you know, though, it came in over the weekend, just when I couldn't get to a recorder. Usually I can go over and pick one up at Central Office where they have around 12 on hand for the teachers to use. Not at home, but what they don't know won't hurt them. But nevertheless, I looked around and called the principal and got the key to the school, swearing that I wouldn't bother anything, and got the tape recorder that they keep there at school. So I rushed home real quick, running over about 5 or 10 people, hope they don't catch up with me, and put the tape on. And needless to say, it was just great hearing your voice. This machine is quite a wonderful invention, but you know, I caught myself answering your statements. To say that's a little bit silly, and in a way, this thing makes me just a little bit more frustrated not being able to talk back And you know how I can talk back during our gab sessions. But here goes my part. First, your assignment for next year. I hope that you get for what you asked. I think I understand how you feel, especially from our conversations in the past and now from your tape. It may not be what you want for the rest of your life and will not be an end in itself, but it will be a means of a sort to an end. Many, I guess, must be satisfied with second best as long as they are not standing still and feel that maybe they're getting just a little bit more closer to their aim and goal. You know, we all have to have some sort of plan for attaining a goal, and it varies, thank goodness, from person to person, and the plan may not even be quite definite, but I think it's necessary. So I'll not worry about it anymore if you don't. But you know that I'm behind you and that I'm hoping, most sincerely, that you will get what you want. Now you ask what is my aim? Oh, who knows? Mine seems to run from year to year. Thus the advantage of being a school teacher. Where will I be next year? Well, I don't know, except either in Palo Alto or back in old CC by the seaside. Mink, I guess you gathered from my letter that I seem to more or less be getting myself in a predicament, as I usually do. But it seems that I'm being a little bit unethical, maybe, and I am feeling some pains of conscience, but it appears that I may have 2 jobs for next year. I don't mind so much with Palo Alto, especially after what they did to me this year. You know, when I came out more or less with the feeling that I would be teaching there in Palo Alto. But it does bother me just a little bit where Corpus Christi is concerned, because you know how wonderful they have been to me in the years that I was there, and even since. They've really been quite wonderful. But I'll tell you what has happened. You know, it all goes back even to when I first came out, when Mr. Cook there at Hamlin Junior High School died of a heart attack, and they called me wanting me to come back. But things didn't work out then, as you so well know. Since then, the principal with whom I talked over in Palo Alto this spring called me and wanted to know if I was still interested there in teaching Jordan Junior High School. And I was. So I went over and talked with him. And again, he was, get this, quite impressed. Mainly with my southern accent, which I didn't notice I had until I've been listening to this thing. But anyway, he gave me this proposition that if I would come, I could have 2 classes of algebra, which you know I dearly like very much, and 1 class of plain geometry composed of exceptional students, which just be very excited to get my fingers into. And then he asked me if I'd mind teaching 2 classes of PE. He knew that I had been teaching it this year, and I like it. Boy, it's a ball. And I told him no, I wouldn't mind at all. It seems that it would help him out tremendously, since some of the teachers are going into the new junior high school over there, and he is short some PE teachers. And he would see to it that the 2 classes were put together, which would give me actually only 2 preparations. One for the algebra, which would need no preparing for since I've taught it for so long now, and the one for the plain geometry. But I wouldn't mind that at all. And then the 2 classes of PE, boy, what a perfect chance to get a suntan out with all the girls. I like that. So I don't know. I have it. I have my contract. It's all sewed up and tied up. Then I had a telegram from Dr. Gibson, the personnel manager back in Corpus Christi, telling me that there was an opening in the math department at Hamlin Junior High School next year. Was I interested? And to wire him back. So I wired him back saying, yes, that I was interested and would like more of the details. And so they sent me all the information, they did not know anything about what the subjects would be, except it would be math. And whether I would go back in the student council or not, I don't know. Now, I would like to, but I don't know how Mrs. Howard has worked out this year. I know if Mr. Wright was still principal there, the student council would be mine. And I feel quite certain that if I were to return, Mrs. Howard would say, Dottie, take it over. And it is, well, it's rather time-consuming, but it's still very gratifying at the same time. And the main thing that impressed me, though, about this offer from Corpus Christi is the fact that they would start me out on the salary schedule at just exactly where I should be, having lost no teaching experience, giving me full credit for the years of teaching, which they shouldn't do. It's against their school policy. Really, you should start out with 5 years teaching experience, which would throw me, let's face it, a few years behind. But they have said if I come back this year, they will start me with my full experience, which I think is just terrific of them, because after all, there's no reason why they should. But as it stands, I'm going to have to be making up my mind soon. And as I say, I feel it's a little unethical. Now, if I decide to go back to Corpus Christi, I don't mind, really in the least, of turning in a resignation with Palo Alto, considering the past. But with Corpus Christi, I do feel just a little bit of compunction there, because, well, you know how I feel about that place. But I see it this way, that if I ever go back to Corpus, it will be this next year. If I don't return this year, I never will, because, well, that's just the way it goes. It will either be this year or never. So therefore, if I decide that it would be better to remain out here in Palo Alto due to, well, many things that would take entirely too long and waste too much tape to explain, that it would be all right for me to turn in my resignation to Corpus Christi. And of course I will do this just as soon as I make up my silly mind which way I want to go. But as you say, I'm not going to worry about it. What will be, and I'll just do my best either way, trying to make up my mind. And one thing that pleases me so much is the fact that my dear sweet daddy says that whatever I do, he and Mother both know that I will think it is best for me, and that they will back me up to the full. So that makes me feel just real great. But I know they want me back home, and, well, I would like to go back. But, Mink, I'm thinking that if I stay single, the time will come when I will be needed at home, and now's the time for me to get out and see some of this United States, and maybe some more of the world even, and then go home. There's plenty of time for that, because Mother and Daddy, they might be getting a little bit up there in years, but they're still just as spry as can be. So I'll not worry about that. Now, well, I'm like you. I took notes when you went through your tape and when I listened to it about 15 times. And now let's see if I can find out just exactly what I'm supposed to... Oh, wait, light meter. Let me get a pencil and mark this stuff off as I go through it. Light meter for Bob. Mink, it is real sweet of you to do this. And they seem to have the impression that they're going to be reimbursing you for this light meter, but they won't be doing it. I will. And let me put it this way. I can't get out of Bob exactly what he wants, because really I don't think he knows. The only thing he's looking for is a very good, serviceable light meter. Now, I'm going to tell you to use your own judgment. Not one of these fancy ones where you pay for the trimming, but one that will last for quite a few years and will be of service to them. So, I'm going to leave it up to you and your judgment. All right, next on the list. Oh, fiddle-de-dee, this is such a mess here that I have. Well, I'll start anyway, just somewhere. All right, let me tell you what I've done. Let me explain Baby's top to you. I don't think there's anything really too much to worry about. I think Bob is right when he said that it might be just the battery. Now, I don't know whether your top works on the battery or not, but after running the car some, the top did seem to work much better. And maybe you would rather wait till you get home to see about it yourself. I kind of hate to go into anything like that without you here. Now, as far as Vern goes, Vern, the fellow at the station who is a friend of Bob's and Joe's, is a very good guy, and I have, for one, deeply appreciated all the help that he has given me on both your baby and my baby. He's kept both of them in top running condition. And, you know, me and cars, I know very little about them. And he doesn't mind telling me when something needs doing or needs to be fixed. And yet he tells me when something is okay. And that I appreciate, because many places might take advantage, but he doesn't. And he said he would go into it and look at it and see what it is, and if it is nothing, just close it up and let it go at that. But if it does need it, he would find out exactly what it is, and all estimates and everything, what have you, before anything is decided. And I told him the other day when I stopped by that I would really like to wait and hear from you on this matter. I'd like to have Baby in tip-top condition when you come home, because, as you say, you might be having to leave in a couple of days, and I'd like to have it in good running order before you take off. I'll have the oil changed and everything like that, and have it really shining for you. I wish you could see her now. Ah, she's beautiful. I took a picture of her, and as soon as it's developed, we'll send it to you. The inside looks pretty good, too. The spots are off, and the black spots. Now, what else? I enjoyed your comments on Okinawa. You know, my brother, Bobby, also Bobby, was stationed in Okinawa for 2 years, and your comments brought back quite a few old memories for me, especially the statement you made about Naha, because he had some movie pictures of that particular place, and I enjoyed listening to your comments very much. But what is Gate 7? What was the fiesta? What were the parties? And I can go on. When I get with the girls and talk to them, very little is said too much about things like that. You know, we talk over, as Connie Dean will tell you, we talk over having babies, where you people are at the time, how many babies are going to be had when you come back. And Barbara's just about to weaken, she's getting baby fever. And, things like that. So I haven't heard anything about Gate 7, nor the fiesta. But, Barbara just called a few minutes ago, by the way, and told me, here we go, told me that Carol had called her. Carol had heard from Bonnie, and Bonnie's letter was written on May the 1st, and that you were due to be back in Hong Kong on May the 5th, which is today. If you are back in Hong Kong, I'm just real pleased, because I know from the way you were talking about it that you did want to go back. And it does sound like quite a place. I've been reading up on it at school. Some of the teachers have some books from China and all, and I've been getting all this Chinese culture. And it does sound very interesting. Sounds like a place that would really be quite exciting to visit and to see. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, about when you come home, Mink. Thank you for telling me that I could come. Now then, Don't worry your head about whether you'll be interfering with my plans to go home or not. Sure, I'm just real excited about going home. In fact, the closer I get to it, the more I have to more or less calm myself down and keep from climbing into that little old Plymouth outside and turning on that air conditioner and hiking out, because Mother and Daddy are moving back into the house now. They'll be doing a lot of redecorating and renovating and what have you, and it will take them a month or two to get the place in condition again. And I do wish I were there to help. I'd probably be in the way, let's face it, but still it would be exciting to be underfoot again. And I can hardly wait to get back and be with Mother and Daddy in the house again. It has been quite a few years. And then to get out in the yard and start digging around those azaleas. But with school being out here as late as it is, I can't see taking off and going home and missing you, because who knows when I'll get to see you again. You never can tell about these things. You go one way, I'll go another, and people scatter. And since we're here, I wouldn't leave for the world. And thank you for telling me that I can come. About getting everything up there, don't worry about it. I'll get some way. However, I have several ideas, thinking it over and talking it over with Joe about getting your gear back down. Now let me say that I have written Marge and asked her if she could see her way clear to come back out here, and would like to. That I'll be more than happy for her to use my car. I know she wouldn't use yours because of the responsibility, but since I'm here, she can use mine. And I don't know whether Big Mike will be able to travel then or not, or whether she would come out or what. I'm leaving that up to her. But I told her if she'd like to come out, that she would be more than welcome to come right in here with me and sleep with me. I don't kick, and she can sleep with me. And Joe, I know, would be very happy to have her. In fact, she has said so. So I don't know whether she'll come or not. But if she doesn't, rest assured that I'll have some way up there to get yours and Jack's things home. Now, this idea has been presented. Joe suggested that I bring the station wagon, you know, their station wagon, and we could take the back seat out, which would give more room. Do you think that you and Jack get all of your gear in her station wagon? Now, her station wagon already has a base sticker on it, but still getting through the gate up there would be no trouble. That's no sweat at all. But if you think the station wagon would be sufficient, let me know, and I'll bring it, and she can use my car. Now, if not, the next-door neighbor here has a very nice trailer that he said I could hook on to the car, and we're going to try it out tomorrow and see if it will fit. Or then, too, if you don't think the station wagon will do, I can wait and pick up a trailer up there in Oakland somewhere, up in that area, and pick it up that morning, and then we could just bring it on down here and turn it in down here. You know, those trailers, well, you know how they work, so there's no need of my telling you. That way I wouldn't have to pull it up there behind the car. Now, I think instead of riding up there with somebody, I'm going to go up. Dottie and Barbara both have suggested that I go up with them. Now, not with them in their car, but of course in my car, and stay with them. Now, all those with children are planning on going up the night before and staying in a motel. That way they can leave the houses all real clean, spick and span, and won't have too much trouble getting up the next morning. They can have the kids all dressed, and I'll be ready to go running on out to the base and seeing the big ship come in. And they both want me to come up and stay with them, and I think probably that's what I'll do. And so, no trouble getting through the gate. Now, about what? You said something about after all of you get off finding out where people are going and maybe going out with them and getting drunk or what have you, well, buddy, let's don't worry about the married people. From all the comments I hear from the wives, they're going to be heading for the nearest motel. And I don't blame them. Of course, I don't know what they'll do with the kids, but we'll see. I had to put that in, though. They'll probably kill me when they find out. But, well, never mind. Now about Jeannie and Vinny. Mick, I've thought so much about those two. And as much as I've heard about Jeannie, I feel really as though I know her. And I'm really looking forward to meeting her someday, and I hope that I can. Vinny, has written me about her, even from the very first time that he met her. And, boy, I've got my fingers crossed for them, too. They're starting out maybe with one strike against them. But I think they'll make it. I'm like you, I'm real pleased that Mr. and Mrs. Knaus made it to the wedding. And I really wish that they could and would even yet accept Jeannie. However, who knows, things like that are rather hard and difficult to overcome when there's a little mark in the very beginning. But I hope, because if anybody deserves it, it's our little Vinny. Boy, what a boy. Everything's great with him. And I hope his marriage will be great also. But I'm sure it will. I will tell them hi, however, for you. Something that pleased me very much. You know how this friendship between boy girl, and then he finds a girl that he really loves. You know how that goes sometimes. It's can be, well, rather misunderstood, especially by the girl whom the boy loves, as was, I feel, the case with the Dolores when she came down. Not Dolores the sister, but Dolores the ex-girlfriend of Vinny's when they came down to Corpus. And that I've always regretted. I mean, not my case necessarily, but there was Janie and the rest of us, and how did she know she was walking into a strange place, and there all these girls were? I don't know how I would feel under the same circumstances. And that's the reason I have hesitated in some way writing Jeannie and Vinny. Though, because, heavens knows, I wouldn't want to put anything into his marriage that shouldn't be there at all, and I think you know that. But Toots, bless her heart, Toots told them the night that they were married that I sent all my very best wishes and that I wanted to write them, but didn't exactly know how it would be received by Jeannie. And she was real sweet, and boy, I'm all for her. She said that she felt like she knew ... and that she wanted me to write on anyway, which I deeply appreciate. And I really hope that someday I can meet this Jeannie, because she must be quite a person. And if she can hold you men in line, great. Now about Janie. Schaefer, not Schaefer any longer. Calloway. Janie is just extremely happy, and that pleases me without a doubt. I'll write her address to you, and Mink, if you can drop them a note, she would appreciate it, because, well, you know how much she thinks of you. In fact, who doesn't? But, as Jack would say, nobody loves Mink. But Jane does think quite a bit of you, and I know she would enjoy tremendously getting just a short note from you. So if you can find the time, do so. Bert. Sweet Bert. Well, Bert is a traitor. She is dating, guess what? An Air Force lieutenant. And she's pretty excited about it, but she's like some others that I know. She's afraid. And other things in her past have not worked out for the way she thought that they would. I started to say for the best, but obviously it wasn't for the best, or it would have. But she doesn't know how this is going to turn out. At least this I know, that she has found that she is capable of some emotion toward another fella, which is good for her. Here I am lecturing. But this Air Force lieutenant is supposed to be leaving in June, which, as you know, is only a month away, and I don't know what will happen. He's stationed up in, oh, fiddle-de-dee, where is that? Oh, Victoria. You know, Victoria, Texas. And the Foster Air Force Base there is being closed down. Not top secret, I'm sure everybody knows about it. And he's being transferred out, so I don't know how it will turn out, and I'm real eager to get home and see her, and if she's in the dumps, pep her up and get her out some. And I enjoyed being with that girl so much Christmas. We were together night and day, and it was really great seeing her. But Betty, you remember Bet? She was, here I am picking up all these names from you. You know, she was my roommate there who was so much in love with Blair. I'm giving you all the love affairs. And, well, she wrote Blair, Dear John. He's been writing her about once every blue moon, about every 2 months, and I could shoot him. And, no, not literally, but sometimes it does make me a little bit angry. But, he wrote her this last time, 2 months ago. Told her to wait for him, that he felt like he was ready to settle down, and that he would be back over to see her just as soon as he got in from this cruise, and be sure to wait for him. Well, you know, Betty, she did. No more word. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And he's been home now for about a month and a half, and still no word from Blair. So she wrote him, and I don't know how the outcome will be. I'm trying to talk her into coming out and riding home with me. I think the trip would be very good for her. I'm the world's best at telling other people what's good for them. I wish somebody would tell me what's good for me, but, no. But, I hope she does come out and ride home with me. We could stop by Las Vegas and some of the other places and let her see some of the things that she's never had a chance to see. You know, Betty's quite a tremendous person. She put herself through college, and she helped put one of her brothers through college, and she supported some of her other family when they've been growing up, some of the other children, and she's really quite a person whom I dearly love. Oh, Mink, I don't know where to go from here. These notes just aren't making one bit of sense. I haven't really paid any attention to them, to tell you the truth. What next? And here the tape. This side is getting down a little bit, but not much. Marge coming out, trailer Vinny. Oh, Bill Crawford is going back into law school, isn't he? I think Toots wrote me something about it. He seems like a real nice fellow, what little bit I was around him. He really quite impressed me. And I keep up with Ruth and John by way of your mother. I really regret that I didn't meet them sooner down at Carpus, because they were very nice to me there at the end, especially Ruthie. Of course, she and I were together more. And I regret not knowing them better. Really. But didn't John go regular? Seems like Toots told me something about it. Well, it happens to all of them. Vinny went regular. Who next? Mink, what's happening to San Jacinto, the picture? I'm just dying to know. And don't you dare let anybody pull that picture down. And you said it looked like it was an authentic picture? Guess what? It was. Guess who took it? Ah, me. See, I'm older than you are, you know. Tells you how old you are, huh? Let's see what else. Oh, I went over yesterday to see the baby. Ada Beth's baby. And she is adorable. That Dawn has one to be proud of. She is really... And I do believe she's going to look like Dawn. And she is so sweet, so contented, Doesn't cry, but just very little. And I got a big thrill out of holding her. She's so sweet and so tiny. And to think that all she can grow up into is an adult. Not so bad. It's a lot of fun. Just so long as you stay young at heart. But the baby is adorable. I stayed over there, practically most of the afternoon. Barbara, as you know, had received a tape from Smitty, and she couldn't find a recorder. So since I had this one, swiped it from the school, I took this one over to her yesterday, and she used it and then brought it over to me. And, oh, goodness, she must have had a fit until she got a hold of it. She, I think, received the tape on Saturday and couldn't listen to Smitty until Sunday. I don't know how she's done it. But I was just real glad that I had the tape recorder here handy to take over there. So I stayed with Ada and Dottie. Oh, that Dottie's quite a girl. I like that girl very, very, very much. She's great. She really is. And those children, boy, that Joey, I like him. He's all boy and all smiles and full of talk. Of course, you can't understand it, but he's full of talk. And he and I are big old buddies. Every time I go to the door, you can hear him running through the house, Dot, Dot. And, of course, it doesn't go to my head much. But I wouldn't mind having about 3, just like little Joey. And, Kathy, well, what can you say about sweet little Kathy, but she's adorable and so lovable. Cindy is still the little lady, as ever, just the perfect little lady. I might say just like her mother, really. And Tommy's awfully sweet, but Mink, goodness, I hope nobody's listening to this thing with you. I think I'm silly, but Tommy's been giving Dottie a little trouble. I don't know exactly what it is. It may be that he's jealous of Ada's children being there, and especially the baby now. And you know how little children are. They have the same emotions that we have. The only difference is the fact that we've somehow managed, with age, to control them somewhat. And I don't know, it may be the fact that Tom isn't around. He needs a daddy. But where he gets all those ideas of things to do. I think I told you about a couple of weeks ago about Tommy getting into the linen closet and digging out all of Dottie's nice, clean, freshly ironed linens and scattering them all over the house, even into the toy box. Where he gets those ideas, I don't know, but I love him nevertheless. In fact, I like them all. They're all just precious. But I think I've told you how I feel about these so-called Navy brats. Those that I met out here are pretty terrific, and I like them. And Brian's just as sweet as ever, you know, Barb's and Smitty's. And Gail and Janice, they're still little dolls. They're awfully sweet. Gail's still getting into everything. Boy, what a personality that kid has. She's great. And I like all of them. You would have died laughing one day over at Ada's, long before the baby came, when we all went over for coffee. I was sitting on the floor, and Brian came in with Barb, and he made a beeline for me and climbed into... Oh, no, wait. He had been sitting in my lap, made a beeline and was sitting in my lap, and then he got up to get something. Little Kathy came over and climbed into my lap, was sitting there very quietly as always. Brian turned around and saw her, and he came over and pushed her out and flopped down. It was just real cute. Pleased me, as you can see. Oh, goodness. Oh, Pam and Tommy Koloff, too, are little angels. You know something that really impressed me? When I was staying over with Ada during the Easter holidays, in the morning, of course, the two children would awaken much earlier than us, which I really should be ashamed to admit, but Ada was sleeping too. But they would sit in there in the living room and wouldn't turn on TV. Of course, I know they were just dying to turn the TV on and watch the cartoons, but they wouldn't. They waited until we were up, and I saw them several times. You know how you do, you open one eye and look out, and I'd see them sitting in there and eyeing us just as quiet as two little people could possibly be. And that really impressed me. That's terrific training. And that Pam and I get along real great, and Tommy and I do too. We always jump rope together. Oh, they're terrific. I'm going to miss these people, Mink, when they leave. But you know how soft I get when it comes to saying goodbye, and especially to my friends, and how much I miss them. But I guess that's one of the things of life that you can't, you've got to go through. You can't have all your friends around you all the time. And really, one good thing about it is that when some of them leave, you never lose them, but you always somehow seem to manage to gain another. Here I go being a softie, but I read something years ago that impressed me, and it stuck with me. And it went something like this. Make new friends, keep the old. One is silver and the other is gold. And I guess that's just about the way I feel about these people. And I really owe it all to you. And again, I'm deeply grateful to you for introducing me to these people, because they have meant a great deal to me. You were talking about everything that I'd been doing for these girls, fiddle-dee-dee. That doesn't nearly repay for the friendship that they have so freely given me, that has made this year quite enjoyable. In fact, I've enjoyed it tremendously. And what little I do is nothing. I'm just awfully sorry that right now I'm in a position not to be able to do more for them. I wish that I could go over and stay with Dottie some now while she's keeping Ada and the children, to help her out. I'd try to go over during the weekend to relieve us some, but I'm afraid it's not much. Of course, Ada will tell you that I did nothing at her house. That's gotten to be a joke. Over there, I was always so worried about, being a handicap instead of being of assistance. And I popped up one morning, breakfast, saying, well, I haven't done anything while I've been here. Ada, nope, you haven't. That's gotten to be quite a joke between us. So if you ever write her, say that old Dot Dot just never does a thing, and she'll agree with you. But I wish I could do more right now at the time. This summer, I don't know whether you know or not, but one thing about staying out here longer, well, of course, when Dottie was planning on going to Hawaii to meet Tom, I was going to stay with the children, which I was really looking forward to. And now she's going to have to take off for a week's day camp, and I can stay there with them then during that week and keep them. So even though I'll be here maybe 2 weeks after school is out, still 1 week will be rather busy staying with the children, and I'm going to like that. We have great big plans. Shirley's going to come over during the day, and we're going to take the kids up to the zoo and back over to Fairyland and different places, and we're going to have a ball. I wish you were here. Go with us. These kids, I love them. But let's see, what else should I get to now? I think there's so much of it that I've written you, and it's getting a little bit dark outside. I can't quite see my notes, not that I'm following them anyway. This daylight saving time is a big mess. I don't like it. I can't see what they're saving. All they're losing is just losing 1 hour of sleep. It's telling on me, too. Getting up an hour earlier in the morning. Bob comes in and has to pull me out by my heels now. When I get to school, I'm still... I'm glad I know the way to this school. Because so early in the morning, I'm afraid if I didn't, I'd get lost. As it is, I just put the key in the ignition and turn a car, first one I come to, and turn her loose. And they somehow seem to make it. And the next thing I know, I'm sitting out in front of the school. Thank goodness. Mink School has really been interesting this year. I wish you could have been here so I could have talked to you. over some of these things. Um, this is so different from what it was over at the other school. Well, it's different in every way. The kids are just about the same caliber, really, but they are so much better controlled over here, and I think it's simply the fact that all the teachers are tightening down on them. And right at first, I had a little difficulty with one particular class, the science class, but now we're the biggest old buddies, and I'm really enjoying that. I don't know much about it, but I certainly am learning. Just ask me anything about the bones. I can tell you all about the clavicles and the patillas and the carpals and the metacarpals and the tarsals and the metatarsals. I can even go into astronomy with you. But I wish the kids were learning as much as I am. But we really have a good time in that class. It's large. It's really the most intelligent group that I have. And we can kid around with each other. And we have a good time together. I get rather upset with them at times when they aren't doing their best, but I guess that's normal with all children. And right now I have one boy I'm just so proud of. Oh, Lord. He hasn't lifted his little finger all year. Not once. And he got an E, which is comparable to an F in our day. And this first quarter, and all of a sudden, he started studying. The past 2 weeks, that boy has known practically every question I've handed out. And the first time he answered one right, my mouth dropped, and I sat there with this stunned look. Some of the other kids thought it was just real funny, and one little kid, Miss White, you just look like that little colored girl on such and such a TV program. Well, the roof came in. I had to laugh too, I'll admit it. But they're just real cute, and I'm really getting large charge out of teaching this group. The PE is always a lot of fun. I'm doing more playing with the kids now than I was before, and I'm really getting to be quite an expert at this volleyball and basketball. I still can't rope a decent basket, but getting to be just real good on this volleyball deal. It's great fun. Of course, the first few days I found out a few hidden muscles, but they're loosening up some, and I'm enjoying it a great deal. The teachers, oh, Mink, I wish you could see these teachers. They're quite something. Most of the women, as you know. Mink, I ran out before I knew what I was doing, but I'll have to tell you. Jimmy came in and listened to part of it, and after we listened to it, I went in to get, just another teeny-weeny bit of beer, split one with Joe. And Jimmy, what? You going back for another beer? Boy, I can see you now getting into bed. Another drunk. So, for the past 15-20 minutes, we've had a session of running around the house here. So, here's the other drunk. Back with you. Well, as I was saying, Mink, these teachers out here, really, I underestimated them when I first went into the building, but you know how I am with these first impressions. Well, at least they can say I didn't go to sleep on them. Remember? But anyway, they've been just real swell to me lately. They have found out all of a sudden that I'm not going to be there next year, even though some of them, one or two of them, knew it ever since I went into the building. But the others have been just real sweet. One little lady in particular, well, as I started to say a while ago, all the women are somewhat older than I am. I would dare say about 20 of them are ready for retirement. The men are much younger, but all married, wouldn't you know? And so the men and I and the PE teacher, he's rather young, so we all get together and we have a real nice, gay old time. But one of the women found out that I wasn't going to be here next year. She was walking out to the car with me and had her arm around me. The first time she's spoken to me since I've been in the building. And she, oh, honey, I hear you're not going to be here next year. And so on and so on and so forth. And then she proceeded to tell me that I had just fitted right in just beautifully. Well, I'll not say anything, but they have been sweet to me. And in a way, I'm going to hate to leave. But time marches on, and away I go. Mink, I have some more things here to say to you. They're getting just a little bit mixed up, I think. Probably by this time you'll be going to sleep on me anyway. Turnabout's fair play. But, oh, Marge and Big Mike. Golly gee whiz, I'm pleased. She really had me worried there for a while. I was so afraid that maybe she might be trying to do too much. But, you know, Marge always pitching in and helping out in every way and really doing too much, I think. But I'm just so extremely happy that she wasn't on her way back to Columbus when it happened. She wrote me all about it. I had a letter just a couple of days from her, and I was quite honored to know that she thought so much and considered me so close to her as to write me about it and wanted me to tell all the other girls, which I did immediately. She has a grand outlook on life. Her letter is the cutest thing. I think I told you about what she said about not every baby being born in pajama legs. Oh, that idiot. But it's going to be great seeing her again, if I ever do. But I hope so anyway. I'm real eager to see this Big Mike, and I'm like you, Mink. My prayers went out too, for what they're worth. And since we haven't heard anything otherwise, I'm sure that he somehow managed to get through this first month just real fine. And I'm so thankful that he has. And I know that doggone Jack must be a proud guy. Just between us, how much went on between Jack and Don when Jack had the boy and Don had the girl? I've been real curious about that. The only thing I know is that Don won, Jack won $2 off Don. Well, I know that Jack is mighty proud, and I'm sure that he has a right to be. But I hope you relayed my messages to him. Congratulations and all. And I wish that I could have been there to help. Of course, I'm not much on this baby business, but maybe I could have done something anyway. And I hope that Marge can, if possible, come back out. I mean, I'm real selfish about that. Not that I care about her seeing her husband, Jack, but it sure would be nice for me to see her, too. You know how selfish I am about this deal. But, oh, Mink, by the way, all great minds must run in the same gutter, namely mine and yours. But, you know, you wrote me about sending the plants to some of the girls who were expecting and what have you. Really, the thought had gone through my mind to do something for them and tag your name to it, but I thought, well, maybe I better not. That's taking just a little bit too much of a prerogative there. So, but when you wrote me about Ada, even though she had had the baby, and a week before, I went out and got her a pot plant. She came home last Thursday, so she was home Friday and Saturday. She was home 2 days before she got her pot plant. And I felt this way. I don't know whether you will agree or not, but so many people send flowers as soon as anyone is in the hospital. That's great, yes, but I've always wondered, wouldn't it be much better to do something after the people are home? So I took the pot plant over to Ada Sunday when I went over, and she did appreciate it and was rather shocked to see the name of Mink on it. The Mink, I put it. And she was quite pleased. I took an azalea and took a pot plant because flowers don't last long. And at least pot plants you can put in the ground, maybe if they're here long enough, and can enjoy them longer. I've always had a habit of trying to send the plants instead of the cut flowers. I'll write you about the cost, just in case anybody's listening. Now's my chance. How much can I add to it? Well, never mind. Maybe I could pay for my way home. Oh, boy, that's an idea. I'll pay for my trip home. Let's see, Mink. I'll write you and send you all the bills. Oh, about Joe listening to the tape. Your tape. Joe didn't listen to all of it. I censored it first, just in case. And so she listened to some of it, not all of it. And, of course, Colleen and Jimmy were in here listening to part of it. And I wrote you about Colleen having her dream, didn't I? Mink coming home? I don't see how she remembers you, but she does. You know, she couldn't quite get it through her head when my daddy came in, exactly who my daddy was. She was always wanting to know, was my daddy, or was he a friend of mine? And she even several times said, is this Daddy Mink? Boy, how does that grab you? And then, of course, I told you about the name she gave him. She asked him what his name was. Daddy said Robert, and right behind that I said Bob, getting the connection between her daddy and my daddy. So she came up with Robert Bob. Since then, my daddy is now known as Robert Bob. That Colleen's quite a girl. I wish you could see Colleen and the little girl next door, Kathy. Kathy is, about 4 months older than Cole. And they are the best of friends, but they always fight. And it's just real funny to see them squalling. They've had a fight. There have been some hurt feelings and some hurt little jaws and some hurt hands in these fights, but they'll tell you that they like each other. They fight all the time, but they sure do like each other. Oh, they're real cute. Kathy's just about Colleen's caliber, if you know what I mean. Both adorable. Kathy has a little sister, Laurie, who is only about 2. Can't quite talk yet, but she's trying like Joey. She's been opening the back door and just coming right on in. And no mother, no anybody with her. She just opens the door and walks right in and says, "Hi." And she's just real cute. Goes on about the house and walks through the house and peeps into the drawers and does everything. And when she's done whatever she wants to do, she says bye, and right on out the door she goes. She's just real cute. Well, what next? Oh, Mink, I can't keep all this. Good night. Looking over here at this day, I'm never going to be able to talk this long. Which is unusual, I admit. Well, let's see. Oh, Mink, are the girls giving you a hard time, too? Boy, they're after me now. Even Cindy. Cindy walked up to me the other day. Dot, when are you going to get married? And I've been listening to the pros and cons of married life. Every one of them get me aside with the pros and cons of married life. And I just listen. You know me. I have my own ideas about it, and I think you know them pretty well. But they're just real funny and real cute. They're all after me, so don't feel alone. Of course, I'll be frank with you. It isn't very obvious what they're wanting, is it? What do you think? But I love them, and I'm going to miss them when they leave, or when I leave, or whoever leaves. But don't feel alone, buddy. You're not the only one getting it from the girls now. I'm just going along with them, though. Well, Mink, as I said before, I hope nobody's listening to this tape, because here I go into something that, in a way, I vowed I wouldn't even go into. Because, you know, the more you go into anything like this, the more sometimes it gets to be a problem or a situation. And I've told you before that I don't like problems and I don't like situations. I guess you can say I've had enough of them. And the more anybody says about anything, the more of a situation that it can develop. frankly, I wasn't even aware of any such situation. And I'll be honest with you, that's doggone. I know I'll have to be honest with you. If I'm not, you can tell I'm not. I don't like that. But, I'll be honest with you. You just know me too well, damn you. But here goes. Oh, all right, I'll be honest. Sure, I went to see Wilma the first time, simply because you asked it, just as I would try to do anything that you had asked me to. Yet, I fully understand and appreciate your reasons for it. And doggone you, you know I understand it and thoroughly. And I really wasn't aware of any such situation developing, actually, until Wilma mentioned it to me over the phone not too long ago, and she said that you'd been fussing at her. Of course, me, you know me, and then you come up with it here on the tape. But me, golly, I'll say this, boy. Like I mentioned to you a little while ago, this situation between the friendship of a man and a woman can't be understood by many people, especially the relationship that we have. Grow up to your years. This, I tell you, look at me. Oh, but really, we've got something, I feel, now I don't know, I may be wrong, but I think we have such a relationship that even many married people don't have. And outsiders can't quite understand this. I well remember one night you got yourself into somewhat deep water trying to explain to someone the relationship that you and I have. And if you just stop and listen to it, try to explain it, especially the way you did then that night, it does sound kind of funny. Now stop and think about it. How well do you know me? How well I know you? You know, that doesn't happen just every day. And, golly, I think you know me better than anybody else, and that's saying a heck of a lot. In fact, like I said before, sometimes it makes me feel quite self-conscious when you can tell that I'm not myself, and you've done it before. So, really, what can you expect of Wilma? Now, I don't know. I mean, I know she's been honest with me, and I haven't asked her. She flat told me how she felt about you, and maybe I shouldn't say it, but I know by word of grapevine. I mean, what's between y'all is between y'all, except when I come to you and ask you, and like I said before, I hesitated to even ask you, and damn you, you could see it. But nevertheless, I ask you anyway. And, but I know all about the letter she wrote you. And I know about the answer that you gave through several sources. And I'll not mention any sources or anything else. And I've only seen her, well, I've seen her twice now. And I was honest with you when I said I liked her very much. She's a great deal different from the people that I know, from the people I knew in Corpus, and really from the girls that I met out here. Yet at the same time, even with this difference, I like Wilma. Now, you'll have to understand the situation, Mink, and I think if you do, you will. She doesn't know. I mean, you sat there and talked dot to her. And I feel you talked dot to her more than you talked Wilma to me. I don't know, but it seemed like she knew much more about me and my family than I knew about Wilma and her family. And so, gosh dog, sure she was leery of me. And you can't ever expect a girl to be a friend of a man that she is interested in if you get all these ofs and prepositions and what have you. cigarette. But, nevertheless, don't go worrying about it now. I'll take what you said and I'll do what you said. I don't think, frankly, I'll be honest with you, I don't think it'll ever work. I mean, I don't think Wilma and I can ever become real good friends like Janie and I, and Bert and I, and Joe and I, and Dottie or Barbara and I, because of you. And try to understand it. Don't blame her, and I hope you don't blame me. But it's just one of those things. Now, whether we would ever have really become fast buddies or not, without you and under other circumstances, I don't know. And I'll never be able to tell you because we're not under those circumstances. But let's forget it. I mean, there's no situation here and there's no bad situation at all. And if you're getting the idea from all the girls, I gather you were being told that you shouldn't have gotten the two of us together. We'll try to understand this too, remember. Now, I think you know as well as I know these girls would love to see you and I get together. Let's face it. They, well, just like Barbara did, they too can't understand us. And it's something that they will not see often. But they don't know Wilma. And I can't say. I mean, Kathy knows Wilma, yes, but none of the rest of them, I believe, have ever met her. And so what can you expect except them coming back at you and fussing? I'm defending the girls. Oh. So you were buddies. But don't think any situation is here and don't worry about it or anything like that. Rely upon old Dot Dot. There's no situation here at all. And I went by to see her some yesterday afternoon, and we had a very nice visit with each other. She was wanting to learn to play bridge, and I went through some of the rules, what few I know with her. And I told her if she could get Jean, a friend, to come over who also wants to learn, then maybe I could get Shirley. She met Shirley one time through Sharon, and we could come over and sit down and go through some of it. Now, this too, remember, as you so well know, quote and unquote, one Mr. Robert G. Ehrman, Campbell is about 40 minutes drive from Mountain View. Dadgummit. But, I mean, not only this other thing is here, condition is here, but also distance is one element that will keep us from seeing each other too much. So don't you worry your little old head out there about the Wilma and Dot Dot situation. Most of it is in your imagination and in the imagination of the wives. Understand, as you say? Clear? Okay, now forget it. Oh, forgive my asking questions, but thank you for answering them. Now, golly dog, Mink, I just about finished this stuff. What am I going to do now? And the tape is still halfway here. Frankly, I don't see how you can sit here and listen to all this stuff anyway. I never realized before how many uhs and ahs and ands I put into anything like this. I hope I don't do it in regular conversation. My speech teacher would absolutely have a fit. Of course, they'd probably have this fit at this accent that I'm realizing I have. But, oh, my swimming lessons. I'm sure you know about them now. I don't think I'll ever learn. But I'm trying. At least you can... What do they give you for trying? I don't know. But at least I'm trying. We're having another session after school tomorrow, and I have another lesson tomorrow night. The other day, last Friday, I went across the pool several times, and boy, was I ever proud. I think I went across just floating instead of swimming, really. It was kind of high. But there are two of us over there who are trying to learn. One is a fellow by the name of Rudy Folia, who is, just a real fine fellow. He's the band director over there, and he's rather young. I would judge him to be 28. Get this, young, 28. Huh. And he's learning to swim, and I'm learning to swim, and Yvonne Walker, who is the other comparatively young PE teacher there, and Hugh James, one of the other fellows there, teaching us. Oh, Rudy just does real great. I mean, he's a big enough fella that he can't even get to the bottom of the pool. He floats. Down in the shallow end, they threw a big rock in the, about 5 feet, 4 feet, excuse me, I was standing up. In the 4-foot depth, they threw this rock in and told us to go after it. Well, all I had to do was pick up my feet, and I sunk to the bottom. Well, poor old Rudy, he picked up his feet and started putting his head down, and his feet immediately came to the top. He can't do anything but float and not go to the bottom. I guess that's a bag of bones for you. But anyway, we're just having a real great time. Even if I never learn how, I'm having fun trying it anyway. Rudy's wife came over the other day and was watching us. She can swim. And she was getting a big charge, standing on the side, watching her husband in the pool. Oh, they're a real cute couple. I think you'd like them a lot. It's just been real swell to me. What next? Oh, stand by. I have a recipe for cookies that I think maybe you might enjoy. So, first chance I get, I'm going to try to bake some for you. I'll tell you the name of them now. The Texas Stars. The recipe has been handed down through an old Texas family, and they have so graciously consented to send it out to me. I've been waiting for it for a long time, and I finally got it. So I'm going to bake some for a cookie contest at school next Friday and see how they turn out. And if they turn out pretty good, I'll send you some. They're having a contest at school between the students and the teachers, and then they're going to use the cookies for a Mother's Day program that afternoon. One incentive to bring cookies. So I'm going to try them and see how they turn out. And if they do, I'll wrap some up and send them to you. Oh, and Mink, you asked me about taping some more music for you. I will do so, and I'll try to get to it just as fast as I can. It'll probably be sometime over the weekend. During the week, the time goes by pretty quickly. By the time I get home, I watch Jimmy for Joe since she's working, and then Joe comes in, and I start supper, and while she's getting things together, and then Bob comes in, and then we eat, and then by that time it's rather late. No sleepyhead Dot here. She's been going to bed comparatively early. So time goes by pretty quickly during the week, and there's very little of it. So I'll try to get to it this weekend if I can, and see if I can't tape up some of it for you. And I will dig out your Artie Shaw records and tape those for you. Now, I'm not going to do it unless I can go down to that place on Villa. By the way, the name of the street in Mountain View is Villa Street. Joe told me where the hi-fi place is and the tape recorder outfit. And I'll go down there and see if I can get this VM lead wire that you were talking about and get some decent tapes to you. I'm awfully sorry the other tapes didn't turn out just right. But after all, Mink, the tapes were for your pleasure, and I want you to use them the way that you would receive the most pleasure. Thank you very much for including me on one of them. That's pretty good and pretty great of you, and put me in on your birthday present. But use them any way that you want to, and I'm just real sorry that they didn't turn out right. But the experience is the best teacher. even in this case. And I'm so glad that you enjoyed every bit of it. But when you come home, I think I'm going to hightail it. About 6 times you said that you were going to give me a kick or a spanking. Now let me say right now, you're going to have to catch me first. And I might add that I've gone on this health routine in building these muscles, getting myself in condition for this big battle that's going to be coming up. So watch out. This summer you had your tongue hanging out panting. So, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm taking vitamin pills. I'm cutting down on cigarettes. I'm taking exercises at school. And taking in all this swimming. And I'm eating just like a horse. That you'd better watch it, buddy. You're going to either have to catch me first, and then after you catch me, you're going to have to fight me to spank me. So, we'll see. Well, oh, gee, Mink. Yes, I've gone through every one of these silly notes. Huh. The first time in my life I've not been able to talk. I've gone through Vinny, Willie Martin, recession. It is getting pretty bad over here. We've been following it in the paper. And the unemployment in California is higher than it has been in years. I don't know how it is elsewhere so much. It's pretty bad all over. They're going into these big sales campaigns, and it sounds like it's getting pretty rough. Not long ago, they had this big, oh, goodness me, what would you call it? Fiddly-dee. Well, anyway, they were selling all these cars. They just went all out. Oh, car marathon? Marathon? I don't know. Anyway, they were selling all these cars. And I think they really sold a lot. They were shooting off cannons every time a car was sold, and it was going off about every 2 minutes, and so you can see that they were doing pretty good on selling these cars. I don't know exactly how things are. They tell us to go out and buy, yet how can we buy? We don't have any money. I think probably the whole problem is the fact that all these people after the war had all this money, and they started buying, and when you began buying, we're all creatures of habit, and so they kept buying, and from buying they go into debt, and they owe payments on everything from the house down to the toothbrushes. And when you get payment poor, you stop buying. You have to. And then there we are. Everybody seemed to stop at one time. So that proceeded to relieve people of jobs. Oh, good night. I don't know anything about this stuff, but it is pretty bad. And I don't blame you for staying in. I think it's a pretty doggone good idea. And get your feet on the ground if you possibly can. I don't know how this industry is going now down south, down around Louisiana. I know in particular the industry is really building down there. Out here, industry seems to have reached a certain saturated point, and not too much more is going in. But down around that silly Louisiana coastline where the weather is just so terrible and rotten, they're putting in all these big industries, and as you know, all these Navy bases and what have you. I think industry down there is really going to bring up the state of Louisiana. And Texas also is still booming, parts of it. So it seems like that maybe industry is more or less shifting itself from the east and the west down to the south. And since it's been so long since the Civil War, it's about time. But it's bad, and since you people are out of contact, I'll try to join the ranks too of cutting out newspaper clippings so that I think may be of some interest to you, and sending them. So far, I haven't seen any baseball games, which makes me sick. 'cause I like baseball. Well, 'cause I like baseball and football. But hey, you never did take me to any of these professional football games, and you told me if I would be good, you would. And I was good, wasn't I? Oh well, I haven't seen any of the baseball games out here yet. I saw the Giants play some time ago when Ann and I went up to Chicago, and we saw them in Milwaukee, rather. We saw them play the Braves, and it was quite a big thrill seeing a big league game. And someday I'd like very much to go down here. I'm going to have to stop. Hold it. See you in a few minutes. Woo! Back again, but I'm not there going to tell you where I was. Oh, I was in the den talking to Joe. Believe it or not, by Ripley. Oh, Mink, where was I? Goodness, we've got a few more minutes left on this tape, I believe. And the time is slipping by very, very, very quickly. Oh, but I'm enjoying this so much. It's almost like sitting down and talking to you, which I have missed tremendously. There's only one thing wrong with this. You can't talk back. You can't slap me down a time or two. Hey, maybe this is a pretty good idea. Boy, now is my chance to turn loose and lecture. Nope. No lectures tonight. Mink, Dottie was telling me yesterday that it is definite now that your squadron will be decommissioned as soon as you come back. That will prevent her from going to Hawaii as originally planned, which I am very sorry about. But at the same time, I know that's going to rush you boys when you get back. As soon as you find out where you're going, let me know. I'm very interested in learning where you will be next year and what's going to happen to you. And doggone you, don't you dare lose contact with me. Golly, years looking ahead. But let me know as soon as you can, and I'll keep quiet to Toots, and I'll let you tell her. So, I've been guarding myself a little bit. I didn't tell her about this move that you all were making and where you were or so on, because I realized you would tell her in plenty of time. I know that she was rather worried about me and telling me that she hadn't heard from you in so long, and that she had been looking for the mailman every day, watching him and waiting for a letter. In answer to her, to put her at some rest and ease, I told her that no one out here had heard from anybody, that there was a change in schedule, but that it was not, we didn't think, going to affect the returning date, that you were just in a situation where mail couldn't come in and mail couldn't come out. Now, I know where you've been, and I didn't say anything to her, so, but when you find out where you are, let me know. I'm just real nosy. My nose is getting so big I won't even be able to see my way home if it gets much, much bigger. Let's see, I was going to say something to you. Oh, which reminded me. You may not, under the circumstances, be here much longer after you return. As you say, it may be only a couple of days under these circumstances. But if you're here longer, would you do me one big favor? I don't think I've asked too many favors of you, or rather I've tried not to. But if you can, get out to see Joe and Bob. Right now, they need some friends. Don't start worrying. Their marriage is working out beautifully now. I hope that in some way I've helped out a little. I think just between us, it might be a pretty good idea that I'm here at this time. If I felt in any way that I was in the way, I wouldn't be here. The door is closed, so I think I can talk quite freely. And Joe's busy in the other room, and Bob's busy in the other room, so I can talk. But they've had problems arise recently which had us all very, very worried. I say all of us. had Joe, Bob, and I, and 2 other people involved, rather worried. Not the children, thank heavens they didn't know about it. And I can't say too much to you about it on this. Sometime I'd like for you to know. I'd like for you to know the whole story. I started to tell you a couple of times, long time ago, but I didn't. And I was hoping maybe Joe would tell you. But right now, if you can, when you come home, try to come out to see them. Like I say, they need some friends right now, badly. Bob especially. They've been so swell to me, and he has been just wonderful to me. And I feel maybe I've done some good in that when they start getting to these little arguments and things, I'm there to start laughing about it. And you know, laughter is catching. And when I begin laughing, they do. And pretty soon it all blows over and is forgotten. Then at the same time, when they need time alone, I'm here with the children. And they can get out by themselves, which really is more than they've been able to do in a long time. So I feel that instead of hindering, maybe some way I've been of some help to them at this particular time. I was just tickled pink when I came in on Christmas and found out that Bob was here. That more or less compensated for my missing you, if you understand what I mean. But I'll try to write you more about this other situation. It's terrible. And Toots, bless her heart again, I love her dearly. And she has always told me in several letters to be careful about what people say. And she tells me more or less the same thing that my own parents tell me and have always told me, to be careful about giving people an opportunity to say something that is untrue, which I have had some experience in recently here, and will someday tell you about too, but not now, and nor in any letter. But they need you badly. So if you can find the time to spare, see them. Even after I'm gone, I'm sure that after you've been here a day or two, I'll be pulling out to get home to see that niece and nephew and mother and daddy, the people back home. But if you're here longer, please do. And I'll tell you about it when I see you, but not now. But just keep those fingers of yours crossed and say just a little prayer or two for them, as I have been doing. Somehow, I feel that maybe these prayers have been answered in their case. A couple of times in particular, just before Christmas, when quite a bit of time was spent in it, and then very recently when both were answered, and I'm eternally grateful for having them answered in this way. Golly, I guess I'm getting just a little bit choked up. But do, if you can, and I'll tell you more about it later at a better time when I know just you and I are together and we can talk very freely with each other about this matter. Well, I've gone through the works. And yet, what would you say? 5-10 minutes left yet on the tape? And I don't know what to say, Mink, except that we miss you very much here. And I hope that you are enjoying your trip. I know it's getting long for you. I know it's getting long for all of you, just as it's getting long for us. I'm going to include myself in with them because I have missed you very much. I missed our conversations and our talks and seeing you. And I guess that's one reason why this tape has meant so much to me. I hated like the devil going back over it. But that's what I did. I toyed with the idea of putting it aside and keeping it. But no tape recorder. And go over it and ship it back to you tomorrow. And maybe that way you'll put something on the other side and ship it back to me just real quick like. Huh? As far as problems, my own problems go, I only have one big one, and that's the job, and I've already told you about it. Otherwise, I have no problems that are of any significance to mention by any means. I'm having a terrific time here. I've enjoyed every minute that I have lived here with Joe and Bob and Colleen and Jimmy. These two children, I guess I will love for a long time, just like I'm hoping that they will love me in return. Jimmy and I and Colleen have a wonderful time together playing in the backyard and playing baseball. I'm becoming a real expert at this catcher business. And Jimmy has said he's going to go home with me this summer. Whether he will or not, I don't know. I tried to get him to come home with me during the Christmas holidays, but he backed out on me. Of course, I can't blame him at Christmas, but if I could get him to go home with me this summer, I would take him. Bubba at home is just about Jimmy's age, and I think they would have a good time together. Colleen is a little bit too young yet for Bonnie. Bonnie Lou is a little doll, a little blonde, just like her mother, just as beautiful as she can be. But, Mink, I wish that you could come by sometime to meet my family. I know you've heard so much about them from me. I've just poked them down your throat, and you've listened very patiently to me about my family. But I think they're rather terrific, and I do miss them. And if you can possibly make it by, I want you to know right now that you will always be welcomed in my home, whether I'm there or not. Now, when I say my home, I'm speaking of Mother and Daddy. They've heard a great deal about you and about Steve and about Vinny and about Pat. They've heard about all of you, and they know you quite well just by listening to me rant and rave as I do about you. Speaking of that Steve, I wrote that idiot not too long ago. I haven't heard from him yet. I wrote him about 3 weeks ago, and I haven't heard from him yet. When you write him, you mentioned that you were going too soon. Tell him a great big old fat hello for me. That I don't forget him. I think about him often. And I hope that everything in his life will work out just as wonderfully as it has for Pat and for Vinny. And next, you. But I do hope that everything will be just real fine with Stevie. I think about him all the time, as I think you know that I do. I wish he would write me and let me know what he's doing and how he is. But I know how it is also with you boys on this cruise business, and I can't blame you. I think back and look over the times when I've traveled, and I think about how exciting it was and how it more or less pushes some of the other things out of the prominent position in your minds. You're so busy seeing all these exciting places that I know you don't forget us. When I say you, I'm talking about Steve and Vinny, too. I know you don't forget us. But at the time, there's something right in front of you that is new and exciting. And I know it's rather difficult to write. Mink, I've enjoyed your letters very much. And I know you don't write much. But you've always been real sweet about writing me ever since I first met you, what, a little bit over 2 years ago, but it seems so much longer now. No, I don't mean it that way now. Don't take it the wrong way. But I mean that I know you so well over such a comparatively short time that it seems like it would be much longer. But you've just been wonderful about writing me and keeping in touch with me and bossing me and helping me to keep my life straight. That I appreciate it very much. This is running out, and I don't know how much more I have to say. I mean, I've got a lot more to say, but I don't know how much more time I have to say it in. I'm looking forward to your coming home, needless to say. And I hope that you tell Smitty, Tom, and Don, and that Jack, and Howard hello for me. I appreciated Howard's little personal hello to me. And tell all of them that we miss them very much. And the wives said to tell you to their little sonny boy, Bobby, that they're thinking about you and are looking forward to seeing you. And I think everybody's just real excited about this returning date. I think it's what? January, let's hope not. June the 27th. That's going to be quite a date, and I'm just real happy that you've let me.